We have zero.
I don't know, man.
You don't even pay me.
0 for 4. My
It's
ass.
just made it
He was
negative
trying to
8.
tell me I went 0 for 4 in my predictions last week. Everyone
was very wrong.
used.
You went 2 for 2. I'm very
So Cole
sorry.
went 0 for 4 in his predictions last week, according to our tip-top producer who doesn't miss any
You
bets.
said it too, for the
I
love
know.
of God.
No, I'm saying that Cole went 0 for 4. He tried to cover it up with our, video evidence, but he doctored it with AI.
Yeah. My AI that knows.
Hi, I'm Cole. I picked Buffalo. All right, here we go.
So, so we're back. Only one episode because we had other things going on, prior engagements. Very busy week here. So to start off, before we get to any of the NFL stuff, we'll do our pick'ems for the championship games. Can't believe we're already here. The season always goes by so fast.
I know.
It's so depressing.
Being like me realizing that it's only 3 games left in the NFL season until next September, and it was like Mbappe staring off into the distance in like a foggy field. I was like, that's me right now in tears, shambles.
Yeah, dude, we enter a dark time right now because it's like right after the Super Bowl, like that morning after, you're just like, man, this is going to be, my dad always says like right after, he's like, pitchers and catchers report in a few weeks, right? It's like, yeah, but and then it's another month until 2 months until baseball.
Yeah.
But nothing hit quite like football. Nothing hits
absolutely
like
not.
football season.
Nothing gives
the fact that it's only a couple times a week, it just gets you going.
Nothing fuels the fire
also,
like the pig skin.
As the producer of this.
Man.
All right.
All right, so before we get to the NFL stuff, big happenings in the NBA earlier this week. Sir Joel Embiid dropped 70 points against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. It was incredible. It was fun to watch. The fourth quarter, it was like all him. They just kept feeding him the ball, and he just would not miss. And it was really funny because Danuel House decided to take a three-pointer like in the middle of him trying to get there. And the crowd, the Philly crowd started booing him for taking a shot. And then it was just like, all right, just keep feeding Joel. And then Karl Anthony Towns tried to do the same thing and was unable to. In fact, his team lost the game in the process of trying to get him to 70. But Embiid is just, I know we're not a huge NBA podcast. And by not a huge, I mean we barely talk about it at all because Cole doesn't really like NBA.
Basketball's just bad. Basketball's not my sport.
But Joel Embiid right now is having one of the best seasons ever. And I'm so sick and tired, okay? It is okay if you are a fan of Nikola Jokic. It is okay to admit that Joel Embiid is very, very good too and is playing better than him right now. And last year, during the regular season, played better than him and deserved that MVP. I hear so many people who talk about it, and they're always like, I just still think Jokic is the best player in the league. And it's like, okay, Joel Embiid is scoring more than a point a minute. That's never been done before. He is like one of the most elite scorers at this point, if he keeps up with this, ever. This is like the most incredible scoring season ever. And he's added passing to his game. And like I said, I'm not throwing any shade at Jokic. I'm so sick of this argument of like, yeah, but I mean, he's still better. Now, Jokic has the championship. He got it done last year. Embiid, when it comes to after those 82 games, I don't know what happens, but it's just, it goes away. But Jokic had that same problem. He wasn't getting it done either until last year. And it just so happened to be the only year he didn't get MVP. So that's me off my soapbox about that stuff, but incredible performance by him. He is, but I think if he keeps up at this, I think he only has a 9-game window because you have to play 65 games in order to be qualified for the MVP. So he has like a 9-game window right now to still be qualified for that. But I think as long as he keeps playing, like there's no one even close. I don't think there's not even a close second right now.
See, the only thing about the NBA is their MVP voters don't really, I don't know, they usually hold a little bit of a grudge, I feel like, after they give someone an MVP and then they don't finish the job, you know?
Yeah, to the past two have been back-to-back. Both Giannis and Jokic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they both eventually got it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
They got to remember it's a regular season award.
I know, but they usually I feel like MVP voters always hate being like, oh shit,
It's a regular season award.
Then he just failed in the playoffs. I know it's a regular season award. Trust me, I believe the person with the best stats in the regular season always deserves it, or most of the time deserves it, depending on team wise. But sometimes voters hold a little bit of the
true.
grudge.
But also, it's
after.
very hard to if he does not miss 9 games and he plays the rest of the season the way he has been playing, it's very, very difficult to validate not giving him the MVP.
No, yeah.
It's like, all right, this man has had the most efficient season possibly ever. Now, that is, of course, if he keeps it up, which is, he's playing out of his mind right now. But it's like, how do you validate giving it to Jokic or giving it to Shai or giving it to Luka when this man is just scoring effortlessly?
Dog,
like
I'm
he's
pulling
in
for the
LA
Thunder
Fitness
right
or
now.
something.
I'm pulling for the Thunder.
I do love that. I love SGA. SGA is fun to watch. And he's like an old school player in the way that he does not shoot threes, which is kind of funny.
Lost my friend in 2K with the Thunder. We were doing random teams, landed on the Thunder. I was like, oh shit, they're good this year? Hopped on, and Shai was he's nuts in the game.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, it's
honestly, if we're playing 2K, hit me with the 2012-2013 Thunder. Because it has Harden, it has Durant when he was he still is, but he was an insane three-point shooter. And Westbrook, you can straight up just drive to the basket, and nobody can really stop it. That's my take.
Yeah, it's honestly in that game too where Embiid scored 70. It kind of went under the radar that Wembanyama scored 33. He had himself a really good game too, and he is really kind of coming on right now. Is kind of looking exactly like what people thought he was going to be. And dude, he's got to put on some weight though. I just feel like there's they make the argument with Durant, Durant's he had that stature, and it's but Durant's playing style is so different. He's not a center. So, in a way, he can play off ball. And also, looking at Durant, Durant has no argument. He's like, that's how I play. It's dog, you miss 40 games a year, and then you're a first-round exit. So.
Someone was talking about it with, I think Stephen A. Smith was talking about it, where it's as far as putting Wembanyama on Embiid for most of that game without really any double teams, it's almost like they were yeah, he's got to learn,
Yeah.
Because there are a couple of those plays. I was watching the highlights earlier today where it would literally, Joel would just bully him. He would just push him in the post and there was one play in particular where he literally just shoves past him and then dunks it. And I was like, damn. It was very Shaq-esque, and it's all right, man, this is the league. The guys that take over the league like that are guys like Joel and Giannis that can just get that done.
Yeah, well, when you got the size advantage like that, you gotta put good use use it to good, and then just body the shit out of people. Because
Yeah, I think Embiid wanted to make that.
Baskets are under the hoop. The easiest way to get points is to be under the hoop. And if you can use your body to create a little bit of separation, you're there.
Yeah, I think Embiid wanted to kind of make a statement of this is not your league yet. I think that's honestly what was a bit of a fueling there.
Yeah.
And he's had an incredible 2 weeks, man. He's got this, and then last week he goes head to head with Jokic and completely just kind of eviscerates the Nuggets, and
just got his 7th All-Star in a row.
Yeah, and now he plays the Nuggets again on Saturday, and not such a great showing tonight, but I think his streak right now is at 20. Hang on, real quick. He's 22 after tonight. He's got 22 games in a row of 30-plus points, which is another thing that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, yeah.
30 points is his 10 points, essentially. All right, we can get back to the NFL now. Had a big weekend of games. As I said, Cole went 0-4.
Real quick, the big coach signing in the NFL. Before we get to the games, even big coach signing with Jim Harbaugh.
A few big, yeah. Harbaugh to the Chargers. That's big, and It's crazy because I feel like we kept hearing the rumors like that was going to happen. And I was like, why do I just feel like he's not actually going to do that? But, I mean, the Chargers are kind of like, I think, making their bet a little bit where it's like, all right, we got 5 years with him, and then everybody's going to hate him. So, like, let's try and make this work while it's fresh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good signing. I mean, coming off of the national championship, Michigan always had a good football team, but he elevated that program to heights it's never been to before. And, we've seen him do it in the NFL. He took Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers to the Super Bowl, and now he has, like, a franchise quarterback with LA. I think he'll be able to.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. His record in the NFL was like 49-22-1.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Like that. He was a good NFL coach.
Yeah, like he had like he had 2 like great years, 1 solid year after that, and then like he had 1 like bad year, you could say, and then it was over. They got rid of him and replaced him with some no-name coach that just got fired after like 2 seasons.
Jim Tomsula?
Yeah, that dude.
The offensive line guru?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Harbaugh is like his messaging. It works, like I said, in college when you're dealing with kids, and he can kind of be as like hard on them as he wants to be. He can kind of do what he wants to do because he is like the head of the program. He's the head honcho. They gave him all the power, and it's like when you're in the NFL. I think you saw this with with the Niners. Is like it works for that short spurt, and like when your messaging is fresh, when your players are agreeing with it, it works. And then after a while, that messaging kind of wears. I think that's kind of what happened with Bieniemy in Kansas City. And, it doesn't always work. So it's like that kind of short spurt. But he is a great coach, great motivator, and a great quarterback developer. So, I mean, Herbert's already great as is. And, you imagine once he gets his hands on him, what could happen.
And another key part to Harbaugh is that everywhere he goes, the defense follows. Like that run he had with the 49ers, that defense was phenomenal. You had Navarro Bowman leading that charge. And then even at
Patrick
Michigan,
Willis.
the past couple. Yeah, Patrick Willis too. Patrick Willis and Bowman were the big studs for those 49ers defenses. And then at Michigan, I mean, he just has been producing NFL talent on the defensive side of the ball this whole time.
Yeah, I mean the defense in that was the real hero of that national championship, and I see a lot of people saying they think JJ McCarthy is like an NFL prospect, and he is, I guess, but like he completed 10 passes in the entire national championship, and he had probably the best running back in all of the country in Blake Corum behind him. So it's like
that's also a thing with Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. He's usually really good at developing the running game.
Yeah.
And, if they have Eckler, if they can get Eckler going again, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I like how he's a really good quarterback developer. Yeah. He's really good with the quarterback. He's great with the defense. He's great with the running backs. He's actually just like kind of a great coach. Yeah.
He is great with the defense. Yeah. That defense follows him everywhere. And that's the Chargers' biggest issue, though. Like, you got the offensive pieces. You just let Herbert cook.
And they have weapons, too.
Yeah, they have weapons
on the defense,
everywhere.
They got guys.
So
bit of a cap nightmare, but that's something else. Yeah, so he got hired in. I was about to say San Diego, Los Angeles, and then Raheem Morris got hired in Atlanta, and then the Panthers hired Dave Canales, the Tampa Bay offensive coordinator, which I think was a premature hire. I think that was a little bit of a. I mean, the problem is for the Panthers, like. David Tepper, like the way he's operated things, he's kind of ruined his chance at getting any of the higher or the upper candidates because of just how he's hot. He's fired every coach midway through the season so far, so he's not going to be able to really get the pick of the litter. But
I don't think that's going to change next year. I think that coach is gone pretty fast too.
He can't. If he ever wants a coach to come to his team ever again, he cannot fire him midway through the year.
No, I wouldn't be surprised, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't either because he's an idiot. And like he is kind of the new Dan Snyder of the league. Like he's just kind of – I mean, the Panthers are being led into the ground, unfortunately. And but, yeah, Canales got hired there. Raheem Morris, who has gotten rave reviews from everyone that he's worked with. Sean McVay loved him as a defensive coordinator. Everywhere he goes, he does excel, like as a coordinator or as like a, he was the cornerbacks coach for the Redskins for a while, and he did really well with them. And obviously the defense for the Rams this year kind of overperformed with the amount of young guys that they had. And Jalen Ramsey actually took to the Twitter/X platform to say that Raheem Morris is the best coach in the league. And he said that he's not the only guy that feels like that. And, I'm interested to see. I think he kind of got a raw deal his first time around in Tampa Bay. And see how that goes down there. Atlanta's a sneaky, talented team, so see what he can do with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, did anybody else get hired? Yeah.
Yeah. That means Belichick's not going to Atlanta, though. Thank God. That would have been too weird. Atlanta was not the spot.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like him and Pete Carroll are going to be out of the league next year. So,
you think?
That's crazy.
The Commanders stoop the Belichick?
No. Yeah, I don't know where he's going to go. Maybe just takes a year off. Defensive advisor maybe for some team. But yeah, the only openings left are Seattle and yours truly, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. Dare we talk about Doc Rivers?
That's true. That's the NBA. Other NBA news that we can cover at the very end. But we covered all the coaching stuff. Now it's time to get to these games. Cole didn't actually go 0-4. He went 1-3. So
2-2.
He went 0-4. Sorry, he just corrected me. He went 2-2. We had, it was a weekend of surprises and not surprises. Started off the weekend with the Ravens-Texans game down at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It was a frigid day. You could see it. Very entertaining game. Started off, slow, 10-10 at halftime, and the Ravens kind of took over. Got their sea legs under them and just kind of, just plowed them. And Lamar really kind of took off there in the second half. And, the biggest thing with the Ravens right now is just how unstoppable that defense is. The Texans play them twice and don't score an offensive touchdown in either game. And, it's just how Mike McDonald isn't, the top candidate for everybody leads me to believe there might be something else going on. Like I said, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but if I were Baltimore, if I win the Super Bowl this year, and if I'm John Harbaugh, he gets a front office role or something, and you have to keep Mike McDonald in-house. It's just the amount of success that unit has had. They're one of the best defenses ever at this point. And, it is fun to watch. They get a lot of turnovers. They just, they're brushing the passer. They're disguises, and it's not the most overtly talented group. They have really good players, but it's he's getting a lot out of guys who are kind of just rotational players. He turned Justin Matabike into a Pro Bowler, all-pro guy, which is great.
Clowney, he's borderline a bust, and he's been pretty productive and pretty consistent.
Yeah, having his best year as a pro.
Yeah, they have a good rotation of pass rushers, and it gives them an edge because, it keeps everyone fresh. Doesn't let anyone get too gassed out there. You keep rotating in a new defensive line. The offensive line eventually gets tired. They're going to break down, and when you got the fresh legs. Kyle Van Noy, he's 85 out there, and he's balling out for the Ravens.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
If you told me Kyle Van Noy and Jadeveon Clowney would be their bookends on that defensive line, and they'd be and they're the best defense ever, and it's is this 5 years ago, or are we talking right now?
Yeah.
It's
and
insane.
Even 5 years ago, you would have been that's not the strong. They're good, but that's not the strongest. They're both having their best season ever, which is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Roquan Smith is basically just Ray Lewis reincarnated, which is crazy. And Patrick Queen's having an all-pro year too. Just everybody's playing at an unreal level.
Yeah, no, I saw before the game, they show Ray Lewis in the tunnel, pumping everyone up, and him walking out onto the field, and I was like, oh, it's over. It's over for the Texans. When you got Ray on the sideline, anytime that team needs anything motivational, he'll hit you with some gladiator speech, and you'll be ready to run through a fucking wall.
Yeah. Yeah. He just grabs a piece of turf and force feeds it to John Harbaugh.
Yeah, but no, I saw
He's
Ray
like, you see that?
And I was like,
your coach is willing to eat grass for you.
Yeah. I saw him. I was like, game over. I made the wrong pick. Didn't know Ray was on the sideline.
Yeah, John Harbaugh's over on the sideline like a cow. Like, look at him.
Yeah, but I mean, that defense. I mean, the biggest story most people took out of that game was that Lamar can play in a playoff game now. But, like, I wasn't too impressed. I was more like, that defense made it super easy
He was like,
for
all right,
the Ravens
all
to
right.
win that game. I was like, well,
yeah, like I said,
that defense
their
made it so
defense,
they didn't have to drive a whole distance of the field. They were working with shorter fields the whole game, basically, because, I mean, Houston could do nothing on offense. They returned the punt, and gave me a little bit of hope. I was like 10-10. Lamar hasn't looked good at all this first half. It's happening again. And then he runs for like 2 touchdowns in the second half, and I'm like, run him back.
You're like, the narrative's still alive.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah.
All shows, all I hear is Lamar's clean the narrative, and I'm like, no. It's not that hard to win when your defense allows 3 total points.
Like I said last podcast, besides that one game against the Titans where he really shat the bed when they were the 1 seed, back in, 2019. Like, other than that, every other game he hasn't been the reason they lost. And like I said, he got hurt.
Rookie
year. That 1 year, yeah, rookie year, but I mean, he's a rookie. Yeah. And
yeah, but
this year, like I said, I don't think he was the reason. Like, I feel like people are like, my thing with Lamar is how polarizing he, in this weird way, he's become. Where I feel like you have these virtue signalers who like to take credit and almost make it a race thing. Like, when you criticize him, or not even criticize him, or just say you talk about his play, and you're not saying he is incredible, he's the best ever. And it's like, Lamar is great. And I think that you have to, he gets his roses now. Like, you don't have a lot of these people who are saying, criticizing Lamar Jackson, saying he's not doing well. Like, if you're doing that, then something, you just don't like him. But, at this point, it's such a grift to say, this whole thing about, the race thing and all that stuff. No, people realize that Lamar Jackson is really good. The criticisms of him early on this year were, will he finish the year? The past 2 seasons, The Ravens have finished their season with Tyler Huntley at QB. That was the criticism. Will he be able to sustain a full year and then play into the playoffs? This year, he is showing that so far. And, yeah, he scored 4 touchdowns on Saturday. That's pretty good. 2 rushing, 2 passing, and, his off-schedule plays were working. He was playing really well. And he's surrounded by good players on offense now this year, too. That's another big part. They had, practice squad receivers playing around him his first few years. And now he's got, Zay Flowers, I think, is clearly, the best rookie receiver this year. He's been playing out of his mind. Yeah. And Isaiah
Flowers outside. Zay Flowers outside of Lamar Jackson is the biggest X factor on that offense. They are so. I was talking about it with someone the other day. They are so lucky they hit on that kid, because he is OBJ has been all right, but he hasn't been terribly productive. Flowers has been unbelievable this season.
I will say, I think OBJ being there probably had a lot to do with Zay Flowers, his development. I do think he helped out a lot with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And Isaiah Likely coming on as, I think, a clear tight end number 1. If it's not with the Ravens, in the future, he's going to get a big deal somewhere. He is athletic. He reminds me of a bigger Plaxico Burress for some reason. He just that touchdown catch was ridiculous. He made that look so easy.
Yeah.
And I think Mark Andrews, it had to be bittersweet. he's going to be better than me. And
That's our goal.
I mean, they're getting Andrews back this week too, so like that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, Ravens are clicking on all cylinders.
Can't forget about old number 42 out there.
The good old one Ravens player I will support to the end of the days because he is a Coastal Carolina alum, and I gotta respect him for that. He was a dog down here. People didn't give him a lot of attention because he went to Coastal Carolina. We only play in the Sun Belt Conference. We're not that big of a school. But, I mean, hey, he was a part of that 11-0 team down here. That was phenomenal. Beat BYU against Zach Wilson when he was a top prospect coming out of college. So, I mean, I'm really excited to see what Isaiah Likely does for the rest of his career because he is an athletic freak at tight end. And even if you don't want to line him up at tight end, you could honestly put that man out wide to be a wide receiver. He is, like, because he's not, like, the biggest body. He's not a big, like, chunky tight end. He's not, like, super massive.
Yeah,
but
he's lanky.
Could easily be an outside. Yeah, exactly. He could easily be an outside wide receiver, too.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jordan Reed in a way, like the way he can kind of separate and like the way he's a better blocker than Jordan Reed was. But yeah, I mean, you can line him up anywhere.
Yeah.
And like he is really, I think, like been his development in Andrew's absence was huge. And I think, you know, I don't know if they are where they are without him playing the way he did down the stretch. But yeah, he's been great. And then honestly, Dalvin Cook looked in those few rushes he got. He's still got a little juice. Like, he's still only 28 years old. Like he's not washed yet. And I'm interested to see how they use him on Sunday.
I've said that. He's not really like, you called him like a journeyman. I wouldn't call him a journeyman. Really the only reason that he left Minnesota is because they were preparing to pay Jefferson. Like he wasn't bad. He had a really productive year last year. And this year, I mean, he was on the freaking Jets. You know, there's no pass threat. So I don't really blame him for his lack of production this season. I think he could really do something for them this week. And
now,
going forward, they win this game.
The one takeaway, though, for me of this game, I still need to see Lamar do it against, like, the Chiefs. Because, like, he scored those 4 touchdowns only at 152 pass yards. Like, he still wasn't asked to, like, dish the ball that much.
Yeah, I was going to say that. He didn't have any pass yards.
He had 100 rush yards. He always runs phenomenal. Like, he's always a great runner, and the Texans could not stop that man from doing whatever he wanted on the ground. I mean, only 152 pass yards wasn't really impressing me too much. I think the defense and the run game was mostly it. I mean, he was a lot of the run game, though, which, I mean, I never will take that away from him. Great quarterback when it comes to running the ball. And, I mean, regular season, he's a great quarterback, but when it really comes down to it, when you put in the pressure cooker, you're going to be like against the Chiefs this next week, he's going to be asked to make big-time passes in big-time situations.
Yeah.
It's going to be a close game.
That Chiefs defense is no joke.
They're like
they are very,
the Ravens and Chiefs have been fighting all season for. Like, the Chiefs' defense has been a little, like, slept on this year, but they are the number 2 ranked defense this year.
They are very good. Yeah. Yeah, they're incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Chiefs' defense has been very good, and I just think the Ravens' defense is just, like, I haven't seen a defense like that where it's, like, they're just getting turnovers left and right, and they're beating every good team. And it's not like they're beating the good teams, like, when they're on, like,
they're like
a bad week.
They win by a margin of like 20 points.
Yeah, like they just pound teams. And I mean, Kyle Hamilton's development this year is huge. And like I said, Roquan Smith. Like, I mean, you got your role player like Brandon Stevens, their number 2 corner. He's been playing great this year too. And like, you know, you could go on and on how like every unit on the Ravens right now is really, really good. But we got to move past this game because we got to also get to our predictions. All right, so we had that game to start off. Ravens won big, and, you know, we'll see if it rolls into this week. Second game of that night was the Packers and the Niners. Close game. Very close game, and Jordan Love almost did it. Surprise. In fact, if they don't miss that field goal at the end of the game, I think we're talking about Packers-Lions in Detroit. That
would have been wild. Yeah. That would have been a wild NFC Championship game.
if Jordan Love, for some reason, with a whole minute left on the clock, and it wasn't even third or fourth down, just heaves it across his body into the middle of the field. It's like, brother, just run. You had like 10 yards in front of you. Just take
He's running to like quadruple coverage.
Oh my God! What were
the
you
young player
looking at? He was
That's his
praying
young first
God,
season
Romeo
started.
Dobbs was down there somewhere.
Made some mistakes.
Yeah.
It always, those young players in their first season always tend to, like, one thing at the end of the year in those playoffs always ends up biting them in the butt. The experience of just not, like, the awareness of not, like, being like, oh, we got a minute left, this first down. I mean, not heave this up for drafts.
Yeah. That was like that Patrick Ewing thing when he was like, do you practice that shot? Where did you practice that shot?
Never practice that shot.
Like, that is insane that's how your season ends. Like,
Yeah.
but and then my favorite part.
You can talk.
You go ahead.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say my favorite part was when Dre Greenlaw picks it off and he like refuses to go down. Like his teammates are like, "Go down!" and he's like trying, like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's what. Did you see Fred Warner talk about it? Fred Warner was like, I was like celebrating. He was like, I was kind of jumping around. I was going to the sideline. He's like, and I don't hear anybody cheering yet. And I was like, what the hell? And he turns around and he just sees Dre Greenlaw just running back and forth. And he's like, for the love of God.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Oh, man. He wanted his moment to shine. He wanted to return that bad boy. He was like, this is it.
Exactly.
It's like this is my chance for 7 right here. All right, Cole, what were you going to say when we got jumbled up?
It was just a ridiculous attempt to throw because he's rolling to his right and he's like, I'm gonna heave this all the way across the field. Like he's throwing to the left sideline for him while rolling right and just
Insane.
just heaves it up.
And
and it's nowhere close. It lands between like 3 Niners for a pick. It was like, oh God, what are you doing?
My favorite part was like when he's walking off the field, like he wasn't like upset. He was just like looking over at it, like, it's like, yeah,
it could have been worse.
But surprisingly
close.
I gotta give Brock Purdy props because we haven't seen it ever before from him in those tight games where he is able to lead the comeback drive, game-winning drive, and he wasn't performing well most of the game, but when they needed him most, he turned up. He had
really,
the Tom Brady genes.
He got bailed out pretty good by his running back. Christian McCaffrey had that huge run there at the end. But
no, I mean,
they're another team that's like
7 on the final drive.
Yeah, there was that one throw that it was like perfectly over the linebacker, and it was really only where his guy could go up and get it. And after that, he kind of had a little bit of a mojo, and I think that's kind of what led to that drive.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can keep it up next week.
Another storyline, like kind of behind this whole playoff run, even though it was only one game, is I think Matt LaFleur has kind of been exonerated and has avoided the being kind of propelled by his QB accusations, because that man this end of the season was just, I think, honestly kind of propelled himself up to like almost like the level of like a Shanahan or something when it comes to like game planning and stuff, because that team, when they were actually
many year 1, year 2 guys.
The youngest team in the league, and like he just was able to figure it out, and I think a lot of them were honestly held back by Rodgers, like trying to do like his own thing and like thought he knew the right way, like he always does. And another thing about the Jets too, like I wanted to say this, I forgot. Dalvin Cook. Why did he go to the Jets when they had Breece Hall? Like why did he do that? Like he was not going to be the starter. Anyway,
it was a weird move. Even in the off season, I was like, "That's the weirdest move." Maybe like just to wean Breece Hall back into the thick of things, like give him a break every now and then in early games, just because he's coming off that injury. But that was always a confusing one for me.
Yeah, and he's going to be a start too. I really do like Breece Hall a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a good game. Niners heading to the NFC Championship game. And then we move to Sunday, that early game, with a perplexing ending and a weird description of that ending by Todd Bowles, the coach of the Buccaneers. But the Lions best the Buccaneers. They sweated out and they beat them 31-23. And Todd Bowles at the end, I don't know if you saw, they were given their timeout back at the end of the game, and they never used it. And Todd Bowles was asked, like, why didn't they use the timeout? And he basically said the game was over. They would have gotten the field goal there. Like, so I didn't want to, kind of prolong the inevitable. And it's like, number one, their field goal kicker is not automatic at all, especially from that range.
Yeah.
So, you're talking, they could have had a solid, 16 seconds to at least get in within range of some kind of Hail Mary thing. Like, I just think that if I was the owner of the Bucs, I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, that's your best explanation for just, losing that game?
Yeah, it's like, this is playoff football, man. You got to give it everything you got. You got to take every chance you can. It's like, just be like, well, they would have made the field goal anyways. Like, you don't know that at all.
And also,
it was just an interesting decision.
If they do miss the field, he calls that timeout, they miss the field goal, and the Bucs go down, tie it up, and somehow win in overtime. The storyline is completely different from Todd Bowles being the dumbass to Dan Campbell and the Lions offense being a dumbass. Because with the timeout, even if they ran properly, ran down the clock every time, even with the timeout, it wouldn't have mattered. But they quit snaps after all their kneel downs, and then they hit 40 seconds left on third down and hit a quick knee.
Yeah,
and it was you can call weird timeout, and I was sitting there perplexed in the whole situation. I was like, Todd Bowles is bailing out this Lions team from
Todd Bowles rage quit.
He really did. He disconnected. Your opponent disconnected. Just pops up to Dan Campbell, and he's like, "Yeah,
just had the ring above his head." He's like,
"Yeah, that was weird because because Jared Goff kept snapping it before the play clock was at 1, and it's one of those things. It's is that Dan Campbell making that call? Is that Ben Johnson making that call? What are we?" And also that last play, why didn't they just snap it? And he could have just kind of tried to shuffle a little bit in the backfield and then just heaved one out of bounds. The time management on both sides was just horrendous. And I'm sure there's been a large portion of the time spent on that with the Lions about how to handle that in the future. But happy for Detroit going to their first NFC Championship game since they faced us back in the 90s or the 80s or something. We put the beating to them. And what's the belt to ass, as they say? That's what we did back when we were doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean the Redskins, Commanders.
Since Barry Sanders, last time the Lions were in NFC Championship game. So long. A city of just misery for so long.
Yeah, truly.
On the football side
and the
of
Pistons,
things.
man. The Pistons are like, oh, the Lions are doing well.
Yeah.
Watch this.
But the Detroit fans, I'm telling you, those Detroit fans will trade the worst. They already have the worst NFL season ever, so they're like, we will trade the worst NBA season ever for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
Absolutely.
I made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game, San Francisco versus Detroit. I think it's going to be another really close one, and but we'll get to that in a little bit. All right, so last game, right? Yeah, last game is
game of the week.
Probably the most entertaining game. It was ridiculous. Josh Allen, Patty Mahomes, Game 7 between the two of them, and this time for the first time in Buffalo. And the Bills did do a lot of smack talk. Deion Dawkins was saying all that stuff about he's never been to Buffalo before. Good luck. And it's all right, are we really going to be saying that, with your playoff record?
This is, yeah.
Where you almost lost to Skylar Thompson last year in Buffalo.
They like they like to give bulletin board material to opposing teams all the time, especially the Chiefs. The Bills always be just shit talking the Chiefs. And, I mean, they get the upper edge in the regular season, but every time you get to the postseason, this was round 3 in the postseason, I think, and Every time it's been the same result. They say
Holmes
the
gets it
third
done,
time's
yeah.
the charm, but it is not the charm in Buffalo.
No. Yeah, it's it's a lot of soul searching going to have to be done in Orchard Park this year in the off season. It was rough. They did everything they could to win. Josh Allen played a pretty good game, and he. It's one of those things, man. Like, it
That's for
sucks because
sure.
even in losses, he is like the best player on the field.
Incredible.
Like, he just like
Yeah.
he makes plays happen.
Like, that was the clearest takeaway for me is he is not the problem in Buffalo. Because like play calling was terrible. Diggs kind of folded at the end. Tyler Bass obviously folded. Shakir had a couple big drops. And I am a big Josh Allen guy, and I'm starting to think that Josh Allen is definitely going to win the Super Bowl before he's done in the NFL, but part of me is starting to doubt that it's going to be in a Buffalo Bills uniform. I think he might have 2 more years there tops, but, I mean, it has been bad. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, with Josh, ever since he hurdled that dude his rookie year in Minnesota, he straight up hurdled someone. I was like, that's my dog right there. A quarterback hurling people. But I mean, he does have that turnover problem in the regular season, but every time he gets to the playoffs, he is on a next level. Like 2 years back when they ran into the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, I think he was on a 11 to nothing run TD to interception ratio, and he still got eliminated. Like, it's tragic for Josh Allen and the fans of Buffalo to just every year you can't get over that massive hill of the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, it's a little hump. They're trying to get over the hump, but the hump is the just dynasty of the Chiefs right now.
And the Bengals, honestly.
The team chasing a dynasty.
They are 0-5 against the Bengals and the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Since that started.
Yeah, it's rough. And I will say, I do wonder if he was playing a little tight in this game. And the only sign that I saw of that was that last throw to the end zone on that crosser. And he kind of just back-footed it, and it kind of just flung it in, and it was really short. And I'm like, man, that's usually one that he fires in there. And he missed Diggs on that wide open one right there too. And
that was bad.
Yeah, I mean, but he got them in field goal range, and I mean, Tyler Bass has to make that kick. And but that's one of those things. Like, even if he makes that kick,
it's not even like it was a doinker. That shit was nowhere fucking close. That was
I think it was the wind.
That was insane.
If you look at the video, it is going dead center, halfway there, and out of nowhere, that ball just corkscrews to the right. And, I mean, Jim Nantz couldn't have said it better. Wide right, the most dreaded words in Buffalo. Probably one of my favorite calls in recent
that was really
times,
good.
Because I thought about that when he said wide right, I was like, oh, it's like the fucking Super Bowl that one time. And he even said most dreaded words, and I was like, oh, shit.
Dude, he had that one cooked. He was ready to go. But dude, that one's up there with when Bryce Harper hits that the go-ahead home run in the NLCS 2 years ago, and I think it's Joe Davis. He's like, Harper with the swing of his life. It was just wild. But yeah, there's that one. What's another good? I like a lot of baseball calls, but yeah, I mean that was a great call, and but yeah, almost that kick. It looked like a fan was taken to it. Like, it looked like there was a giant fan just and then just the ball was just
it looked like you remember the
it was like God came down himself and just was like
just launched it. Oh my God, that was
the Kick of Destiny, where he had just a ton of fans there, and that was never said that was going to be part of the Kick of Destiny.
Yeah, it was always promoted like it was going to be at the Super Bowl, and there's psychics in a fucking warehouse in the middle of Albuquerque.
It was also so funny because him lining up for the kick, they flashed the 9 for 9 line stat, and then Jim Nantz also goes, and the team says they are confident in his ability to make these hits in high pressure situations. And then he wide right, the most dreaded words.
He hits the hardest bruh in Buffalo history. Bruh. And the whole stadium was like, bruh.
One of the most tortured fan bases in history, though. They're all in shambles in the stands. They're panning to fans, just like, just
That one guy was bawling his
"Yeah."
eyes out. The one guy was
I
like,
know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That was
I remember as a
immediately after,
kid
too.
getting
That
real
wasn't even like he
upset.
thought about it.
I remember, like, as a kid getting real upset when, like, my team would lose in the playoffs. Like, I went to a Steelers game, Ravens playoff game, and Terrell Suggs iced it with a interception between his kneecaps, and I was in shambles then. But, like, I feel like nowadays, I don't know. I love the Steelers and all, but I'm not gonna cry over us losing a playoff game. You know? Like,
You're kind of
dude,
conditioned.
like saying that though,
Steelers
like
fans are conditioned.
you gotta get,
Commanders
you gotta
fans are
have,
conditioned for just fucking misery.
you have to have context here.
You know
All right,
what I
it's
mean?
like these guys, they thought this was the year. It's kind of like the Caps all those years. Like they were like, this is the year we finally break through. The Chiefs are kind of struggling. Like they've had just 4 years of just like being like, maybe this time, maybe this time.
but
Maybe this time.
I know, but I was saying that too when the Steelers would get eliminated every year by the fucking Patriots. Like I was saying that same thing, but I never was like, ah.
Yeah, but you reached the promised land twice. All right, imagine like these guys have never done it. They lost 4 Super Bowls, and like they've never done. Like I mean, that guy, that was just.
I've never seen a Super Bowl win. I've never seen a Super Bowl win as a fan.
You were alive for him, weren't you?
I was alive, but I never, as a fan of football, I started being a fan of football in 2009, the year after the Steelers won their last Super Bowl. And I'm like the curse of the Steelers because ever since I've been a fan, we have not won a Super Bowl.
When did they? And then they played the
08
Packers.
to 09 season. Yeah, we lost that bowl though. I mean, that was my first year. And I was like, this is gonna be a great time as a fan. And then we got smoked by Rodgers.
You're like, this is easy as hell.
And I wasn't like hardcore yet.
Low key, we gotta hurry that.
I mean,
we gotta hurry up. Honestly,
some people
are really pushing time.
Different. Here. I understand the emotional attachment, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just a weird look for a dude to be so like just out in public.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I get really down. Like when the Commanders lose, and like when the Orioles got swept in the playoffs, like I was hurting. And honestly, I think the lowest I've been as a fan, I'm trying to think, was like when RG3 tore his ACL, I was distraught. And then when the Sixers this year absolutely laid an egg in Game 7 up in Boston, I had to take a nap to try and like just get rid of the pain.
It's like it was pretty hard to shake off that Kawhi.
I mean, there's a difference from being like distraught.
Yeah, but that was at like the beginning of the time.
I know, but
what?
I don't think I don't think I could see you. I don't think you teared up after any of those things happened, though. Like maybe one tear, but those dudes were bawling their fucking eyes out. Yeah. Maybe I'm being too rude. I'm sorry if I'm being rude here.
That's out there forever.
I will say the other way around. Like if the Orioles win like the World Series, like I'd probably bawl my eyes out. Like
I might
like
shed
tears of joy.
I'm more like I'm more likely to shed tears of joy. I feel like over a sporting event because really, when it comes down to it, life goes on. Like life goes on, but when like something so joyous is brought to you. Yeah, he's our only fan, and now he's gone.
He's just gonna watch through. He's gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
Maybe I'm being an asshole. I might be being an asshole, and I'm sorry if I am. But
it's like, you know,
to me, it's just a weird look to me to be out after shoveling all that snow, and like Buffalo's known for like
balling
big burly men and their toughness. I feel like, and there's like just so many grown dudes. That one grown dude, what's the word? I can understand maybe like one tier too, like suck it back up. But that dude was in shambles. It was like he lost his mother.
Dude, you have to think there, right? You have
Yeah.
to like picture it like you just you lost the game. You probably been drinking all day, like he's plastered. And then also, yes, the day before you were just shoveling all day, like he's just in pain. He's just like,
Yeah, maybe the shoveling added to it a little bit. Maybe that part added to it a little bit. I'll
just
cut him
all
a
of it
little
adding
slack.
up.
If he was out there shoveling, I will cut him some slack.
Yeah. Tough day for Buffalo. Tough day. All right,
Yeah.
let's get to these predictions real quick. We got to try and get this in under an hour. We really let this one go. All right, so first game we'll go over the
Ravens
AFC.
game, dude. We talked about the Ravens game for like 20 minutes. That was
We're
great.
Baltimoreans, dude. We're straight up Baltimoreans.
Yes,
I'm
here.
not. I'm not. I'm a hater. I'm a straight hater, and that's why I talk one about that.
He's like Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
I'm all that. All
No,
that.
I am like that. I'm like when it comes down to the big moments.
I like how I'm sitting here
Fucking
saying
come
like
on,
he
man.
doesn't
I
like this all
trusted
this proven stuff. Dude, all this proven stuff. We don't need that anymore. And you're like, I need to see him do it against Kansas City.
I do.
Yeah.
Rookie quarterback.
He'll win the Super Bowl. You'll be like, I need to see him win another one.
Nah, if he beats the Chiefs this week, I will give up on everything.
I need to see him win the World Series. Actually,
Dude, I did like the moment of like realism by Lamar, and he was talking about the game this week, and somebody was like, "How do you like, competing against Patrick Mahomes?" And he was like, "I don't like it at all."
He was literally like, it
He
sucks.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
He shouldn't like playing Pat,
Yeah.
especially in the playoffs, because Pat turns into just
Oh my God.
he plays even better than Tom Brady did in the playoffs. Like Tom Brady would at least have off games in the playoffs. The closest thing that Pat had to an off game was against Tampa Bay in that Super Bowl, and I don't blame anything on that Super Bowl on him because that man was running for his life. He had 500 yards behind the scrimmage running from sideline to sideline. There's some ridiculous stat about how many yards he ran for behind the scrimmage. And he threw one of the most insane passes of my life that no one talks about to this day when he's parallel to the fucking ground and he fucking just heaves that bad boy and it hits his man in the hands and it's dropped.
Yeah, I remember that. That was for a touchdown, wasn't it? Or is
It was one of the most wild things I've ever seen.
But even in the Super Bowl last year, he has that sprained ankle that he re-sprained before the half, and it looked like the Chiefs were about to lose.
That was crazy.
And then he comes out and he just he had that big run, and I remember after he got up, he was basically
Dude,
carried.
They had to inject him. They
No,
had to
I think
inject him with something in the fucking locker room. There's no way that he just came back out like that.
I saw a stat this week. It's like when Patrick Mahomes is trailing by 7 in the postseason, he is 6-2.
That's insane.
Yeah.
When he's trailing
All right, we gotta
7 plus,
hurry up.
he's 6-2, which is
Yeah,
wild.
that's crazy.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson, Ravens game. I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. It already sounded that way. We all knew where I was going with this as soon as I started shitting on Lamar earlier and talking up Pat just a second ago. He's probably going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks we ever see, maybe the greatest, and they're going to cement the dynasty this year. I fully believe it. I'm not meat riding. I love Pat.
He's the greatest quarterback we're ever going to see. Oh, my God.
I mean, is it not true, though?
No, it is. It is. I can't argue with it. I cannot argue with you.
Because, and also it took this man 13th round of my fantasy draft the first year he was starting. So I have to. He's my guy ever since.
That's my man.
All right, Ryan, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm going to take... I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have an insane game. I think he's going to play very well, but I still take the Ravens. Because they are the defenses, like you said, match up pretty well, but the offenses don't, I don't think. Because where last week Mahomes could kind of figure it out and he could make plays where there weren't any, Buffalo was also missing half of their starters on that defense. The Chiefs aren't, and the Chiefs have an insane the Ravens have an insane secondary, and the Chiefs don't really have the wide receivers to keep up with that. So I think the Ravens take this one. Also, Baltimore is going to be insane. So I
But
think
Buffalo was insane.
I think the
last week.
Ravens take
They're
it.
throwing snowballs at every player.
I will say,
Baltimore is going to be
like I
insane.
said, I think I said it last week. Patrick Mahomes said there's only 2 places he's ever had to use silent count, and it was Baltimore and Seattle. I agree. I think Baltimore is an underrated atmosphere. I don't think it's talked about because last week Justin Tucker talked about how he's never been in an atmosphere like it was last week. Like he said, it was insanely loud, and I think we saw the effect of that with the Houston defense. Like they had so many false starts. Yeah, I think this is going to be a close game. Obviously, I think this goes down to the wire. I think the big thing for the Chiefs right now is they've found out their philosophy offensively is not force feeding like these role players trying to get the ball to like Valdez Scantling or Sky Moore or Kadarius Toney. Like they realize it should be to 3 guys: Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, or Isaiah Pacheco. And I don't think I think they benefited last week from the Bills having so many injuries on defense, and the Ravens don't have that. You're going to have Kyle Hamilton pretty much plastering onto Travis Kelce, I think, at times. They shouldn't let Patrick Queen guard him. And then on top of that, I just don't know if you're going to get Pacheco to get the running game going like he did last week. And I think that'll kind of play out as the difference. I think the Ravens win this one. Going to their first Super Bowl since 2012. And, I have the Ravens winning, I think, like 31-28. I think I think it's a big 4th down stop to end this thing.
I will give the Ravens a little bit of credit. They do scare me this week. Because after last week, they scare me way more now because Lamar did prove he could win. I do get that. But they've always been a team that competes, is the one team that can be the dynasty stopper. 2012, they always gave the Patriots a run for their money. Like they were one of the few teams in the playoffs on the AFC side that always gave the Patriots a run for their money in every game. And I could see them doing it again here and being the dynasty stopper and beating the Ravens. But I am going to take the Chiefs.
Fair enough. All right, and then let's see if we can get this done within 10 seconds. All right, so
it's okay if we're a little over.
All right, so last game. Last real game, because the Super Bowl is a game, but it's it's such a spectacle. I feel like this is the last real weekend of real football. So we got
that random rant. Andy put us over an hour.
We're gonna be there anyway. All right.
Kidding.
So we got Lions at Niners. This is a tough one because I was not really impressed with the Niners, especially when they lose one of those McCaffrey, Trent Williams, or Deebo Samuel. That offense is in trouble, and it is looking like Deebo Samuel is not going to play. And if he's not playing, I don't trust Brock Purdy. And I think so. If Deebo Samuel doesn't play, all right, I'm picking the Lions. If Deebo Samuel does play, I'm picking the Niners. So we're going to go in those 2 directions. So if he doesn't play, I think the Lions win. I was very impressed with Ben Johnson last weekend with his game plan, and honestly all year. Not just saying that because he's most likely the Commanders' next head coach. But he's done really well as far as utilizing the run game. Jahmyr Gibbs has really come on. Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing great. And it's crazy how healthy Sam Laporte has been. The one downside, like I said, is that Lions defense is kind of hit or miss. They are the definition of hit or miss. So that could really hurt them. But without Deebo Samuel, it's so strange how it's just the offense kind of shuts down when one of their stars is gone, and it just makes such a big difference. It's kind of a weird house of cards situation. And but yeah, if Deebo Samuel's there and they're clicking on all cylinders, I think the Niners win this thing and go to the Super Bowl. But yeah, Deebo Samuel is the hinge of this game.
This one's real hard for me, honestly, because on one side, I think the Lions might be kind of a team of destiny this year, a little bit, with just how they've totally flipped around that whole culture Dan Campbell has. He's done it in a couple years, and it's really impressive. But at the same time, the 49ers just all pros. I mean, former all pros or all pros everywhere. So it's hard to pick against them. I'm going to take the Niners in this game outright, no matter what. If Debo plays, if he doesn't play. I think Brock proved last week a little bit that in a big situation he can get it done when it's close and coming down to the wire. And
Great
the
take.
Lions secondary does have some issues. Like, that is one of their flaws on that team. So I am going to pick against them. And I think George Kittle might have a good game.
There he is.
What happened?
You there?
Yeah, what's the issue?
You were frozen there for like a solid 30 seconds. You were just like,
Oh, well, I rambled. It recorded it, so
okay.
we'll have it.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, we're good then.
You're just gonna look like idiots again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
You're the
cool.
one
So
that
you're
went
picking
out
that.
for me. You just went like completely just to an A for a second there. I just had.
That's so weird.
Rolling. It just
Yeah.
said A.
I guess we're
God.
recording super close, so we're like the Brady
Yeah.
Bunch. We're just like, hey.
Yeah.
All right, so
Ryan.
Ryan, you're the final one, and then we'll wrap her up.
Wrap this up for us.
I am taking the Lions, and really, it's Brock Purdy is the reason I take the Lions, because this team reminds me very, very much of I think it was 2019 49ers, where they actually got to the Super Bowl, and then like Jimmy G just completely malfunctioned. And am I frozen?
No.
There you
You're
go.
looking at
you're
me
good.
like I'm frozen. Oh,
There you
okay. And Jimmy G just completely malfunctioned, and they just couldn't get it done. I think, are you good? What's going on over
I'm
there?
good, yeah, no, good.
we're just
They're
listening
like,
to you
I don't
now,
know.
intently.
Yeah, just go.
Just,
He's like,
Andy's-
what's so
Andy's like
goddamn
laughing.
funny? Yeah.
And he's laughing. I don't know. But I give all the props in the world to Brock Purdy. I think he is an NFL starter for sure. But he is also a second-year quarterback. And I think we have to remember that. And he's bound to eventually have this kind of like grounded, kind of like come back to earth moment. And I am personally hoping that it's this week, because I really want to see Detroit go to the bowl. So I'm taking Detroit this week.
Their first ever, it would be. So that would be
Yeah.
quite the. Detroit would probably not exist anymore. They wouldn't be around to
God, if-
see the Super Bowl. They'd be like,
if they win,
Burn it,
have
burn it
you
down,
seen
Bane style.
their crime rate dropped so much this year? Like, I saw some stat. No, their crime rate legitimately dropped from so high to mediocre this year, just because. And it's like the first time it's been this low since the last time they like won a championship in like the 1960s.
people,
That's like that
guys
thing.
have like their ski masks like rolled up. They're like, go, go, go.
It's like that Shane Gillis thing where he's like, crime is pretty big in America, but football is just a little, it gets the
Yeah.
edge.
Yeah.
That's the great
Yeah.
thing about
Fire.
football. It just makes things way better when your team's winning.
Yeah, dude.
Made cities
It's like the
somehow
Remember the
way
Titans
better.
thing.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans thing? How they're
Yeah.
like, the local football team is undefeated. Those guys are my
Wait,
brothers.
the football team's 4-0? Actually, a Shane Gillis fan podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We just quote him until he gets on the show. All right, we're over an hour. I think that was a great episode. I think we all did a lot,
Yeah,
even
I
though Cole
think it
froze
was
there for
a
30
fantastic
seconds.
show.
We will have no idea what he said until we watch the tape back later.
Exactly. Yeah. Bah! Okay. All right. We will see you guys.
He's cutting
We will
this part out.
yeah. All right. We will see you guys next time, next week. And thank you guys, all 0 of you, for watching. It's truly
Yeah,
an
we
honor to
appreciate
just.
Has
couldn't
Ryan
live
been our
this
4
life
views or
without you
something?
guys.
Because I saw we got like 4 views on one
got
of these.
4?
No? Yeah.
Oh, shizzle. We're growing. There we go. Fan base is
There we
growing.
go.
Yeah, we had 4 of it. Wasn't you, Ryan? I thought that was all you for a second there.
I think one was our dad. One
Oh!
was
Yeah.
me and Andy's dad.
There we go.
That means there are
Big
3
Andy
people
Senior
out in the
tuning in.
universe.
Yeah, 3 other people, and then
And
once
there's one
Ryan.
guy. There's one guy in Saudi Arabia that's just like, these guys are fucking hilarious.
Once
That would be wild.
Once Ryan gets us on the
That would
talk.
be wild.
Yeah. A Saudi prince is like, I will give you $300 billion to come over and do a live show for me.
It just gives us his oil money. He's like, we will let you
Yeah,
mine
exactly.
the oil.
Yeah. All right. So that is it for us. We will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thank you all.